So if this was a movie, this would be a great time to end it. You would say, guy falls, guy meets startup, startup meets guy falls on his face, guy gets up, guy starts again, and so on and so forth. But the interesting bit is that in real life, there is one more very important lesson. And that very important lesson is 7 good years followed by 7 lean ones. So we missed the lean year and we missed the cycle. And the cycle turned on us in 2008. So in 2008, we had leveraged ourselves to be here, trying to benefit from the expansion that never came. And in 2008, we, as Jawwad Farid and the team that Jawwad works with, came very, very close to failure. So we almost failed a third time. So lessons. So to summarize, I have a couple of things that I want to point out. I think lesson number 1. So this is Tokyo at night, Karachi, Colombia, and Southern California. If you start a business, you will find that it is easiest, or chances of you doing well are highest when you started in a location where your network exists. So wherever your network is, if your network is here, or in India, or in Pakistan, or in Europe, or on the East Coast or on the West Coast, if you start a business where your network is the most powerful, that's the best thing. That's the smartest thing that you can do to increase your odds. If you want to succeed, you have to walk the path that Bud, Decker, and I walk. You have to fail. And don't take offense, but if you're starting a business for the very first time, there is a very good chance that you will fail. And there's nothing wrong with it. You will live and you will tell the tale and come and speak at Darden and Columbia and talk about it 10 years down the road. So that's not the scary part. But as long as you accept that you will fail, and then you will fail quickly and you will fail smartly, and you will start with the next big idea as early as quickly as possible, you will be fine. But you have to accept failure. Very few of us will start a business for the very first time and succeed. That's a fact of life. So just accept it a little bit. Right. Therapy, writing. There's nothing like writing to get this out of your system. Low costs, and I'm not sure what the right word is, but do not, and I repeat, do not be ashamed of being a parasite. Kill your ego. If I've done well, it's not because of me or my education or my background, it's because of the other 27 people you see in this picture. Okay? Without them, this would not be possible. Without them, this would not be possible. So as an entrepreneur, as a startup guy, as a founder, always remember that you are worthless without the team behind you. So when you pick your team and choose your team, choose them carefully, and when you're lucky enough to have them, never ever take them for granted. And don't forget the cycle. So, my name is Jawwad Farid, and I am a learner. Thank you very much. So, Q&A? Go ahead.
2 questions. One is, so you came to the US with, I'm sure, with dreams and stuff like that. You went to Southern California. What was running at the back of your mind when you decided to go to Karachi? One is obviously, I would think that you're in debt and everything's failed. What is running through your mind when you decide, I need to go back home, live like a parasite of my parents, and start fresh? When is the time you take that decision?
Right.
And the second question is, you say when you become an entrepreneur, plan for failure, right? I mean, learn to accept it. I agree with that, but if you start planning for failure, there's a chance you won't push as hard, because you're planning that you don't want to go so far so that you drop that much, because you're planning for failure. So where is that line? I mean, where do you draw that line in planning for failure and just accepting failure?
Okay. So let's do number 1 first. Right? So number 1 is, why did I go back? I think I had done by the time SENA ended, I went and joined another technology startup in Northern Virginia. I did that for about a year and a half. And then when that also had started heading south, it was time for me to look elsewhere. So my two problems were, problem number one was I'd moved 4 times in 4 years. Problem number 2 was all I'd done was technology. And I had a conversation with a friend who said that there is something else available back home. So this is 2003 when things were just starting to rise on that side of the world. He said that if you come home and explore, it's possible that something may happen. So without any job offers, I actually went back home to look for a job. And my take was, I'd be closer to home, closer to family, and I'd be out of this technology startup entrepreneur thing at all. I think it took about a month for me to realize that it was going to be very, very difficult for me to be an employee again. It took me a month to, I think it was an accidental conversation on the dinner table with my family. We all sitting together, and I said, I've had it. I don't want to interview anymore. I don't want to run after people anymore. I have offers, but I don't like them. And the only thing I can do right now, besides killing myself with frustration and anger, is to start a business, and I'll start anger. And my younger sister was here, Sana here. Sana was sitting across the table and I said, what's that thing that they do when they turn metal to gold? And she said, alchemy. That's the name. End of story. End of discussion. That's answer number 1. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Now for number 2, when I mentor students or individuals starting a business and they come to me, I say, drive or define a list of milestones that you need to hit that show or that get you closer to revenues as early and as quickly as possible. And those milestones could be investigating a segment to see if they're interested. It could be testing an assumption with respect to whether there is a pain that you think exists. That could be an action that allows you to do first one or the other. And as long as I keep on hitting those milestones, I can carry on moving forward. But if I get to a point where there is absolute certainty that what you're doing is not going to make money for you, for your shareholders or your investors, you have to decide that is it worth your time and the money to carry on doing it. So with SENA, the decision to walk away happened when somebody suggested that we take more money and was willing to write that check. And the question that we had to answer was, if we take this money, if we take this $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to live another 4 or 5 months, would we have customers and would we have revenues 4 months down the road? Or would we be any closer to that point? And the realization that there were 3 companies that had already locked the market that we were trying to target, and they had $40 million in funding that they hadn't spent. I think it was that decision that said that I am no longer in a shape to take more pain. And I would rather quit than move on. So, plan not so much for failure, but for realistic targets that you can hit. And as long as you hit them, you're fine. If you stop hitting them, you need to evaluate. And B, it's not so much that plan for failure, embrace it, accept it, don't be scared of it. What's the worst that can happen? You'll end up wearing a colorful, nice t-shirt in front of you. Thanks.